striking fear into their opponents and being able to disrupt the game in more ways than one. These are the scariest players to have ever faced off in an NFL game. Now, before I start to name the players or like the listings or whatnot, I really need to break down the qualifications to enter into my listing per se. First qualification is that this player cannot be an active NFL player. This eliminates players such as Aaron Donald, TJ Watt, and Lamar Jackson. The second qualification is that this player had to have played a minimum of 100 games in their career. But a special shout out does go to Sean Taylor. The last qualification is that this player had to have won some sort of performance award, such as DPOY MVP, D-Roy, or Super Bowl MVP. This eliminates Jack Tatum, Deacon Jones, and Brian Dawkins. Now that that's all out of the way, I can finally get into my two honorable mentions, and the first one is going to be Jack Lambert. Lambert was incredible on the football field, and he recorded 27 interceptions in his career with 24 sacks, which those numbers don't really pop out, but this was a completely different era of football, and in my opinion, this still puts him up there. Not diving into stats too much, but he did finish top 7 in Defensive Player of the Year award voting 6 times. 6 times in a career. It's kind of crazy. And he did also win the award once. My other honorable mention is going to be another Jack, but this time it's Jack Youngblood, and most people already know the story about Jack Youngblood, how he played through the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl with a broken leg, and that's just on a different level of terrifying and scary, especially if you're an opponent. You look across the field, this dude's got a broken leg, and he's still going to probably hit you really, really hard. Anybody who's ever watched the dude play the football game or played against him in a football game will certainly sit here and tell you that he's honestly one of the best edge rushers that they've ever faced. The only problem I have with him, not really problem, I guess, the only thing I can say is that I never really, I don't have much to go off of with him outside of what people have said. Finally, after all of that, we finally get into the top 5. And coming in at number 5, at least for me, this is all personal rankings, by the way, it's going to be Patrick Willis. Willis was just a huge hitter. Like, he's known for being intimidating across the middle of the field, and he caused 16 fumbles throughout his career. But that really wasn't all that Willis could do. He was kind of a jack of all trades. He was a sneaky good lurker at opposing quarterbacks. He finished his career with only 8 interceptions, but 53 pass deflections. Not to mention that this dude lived in the backfield, having a career 21 sacks and 60 tackles for loss. He was brutal to match up against. Oh, and this dude essentially only played 7 seasons. I almost forgot to mention that he was a tackle machine, finishing with 950 tackles. Mind you, that means he averaged 9 tackles per game, and he was a key reason why the 49ers went to the Super Bowl in the 2012/13 season. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year and was elected to 5 All-Pro first teams and 1 All-Pro second team. Now, mind you, with 6 All-Pro team selections, that means essentially one full season he played, he wasn't elected. That's just crazy to think about. Now, flying in here at number 4, you guys have already seen him in one of my past videos, and he's going to be coming up again just because of what he did. And that guy is going to be Ed Reed. Now, what people don't understand about Ed Reed is no matter what you think, in my term of scary / intimidating player, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're just going to hit you hard. It means that you are legitimately afraid to play against them. And Ed Reed matches all of those qualifications. When I say this, I'm also talking about their impact on the football field. Reed was the greatest ball hawk to ever play the game. Special shout out to Troy Polamalu though. Reed was everywhere, no matter what play was ran or how good the offense was that he was facing. Reed was making plays. Funnily enough, he played against Patrick Willis in the Super Bowl. Ed was locked down, and over his 12-year career, he had recorded 64 interceptions and 139 pass deflections. Not even including other stats, that alone would be enough to put him into the Hall of Fame. The year that they won the Super Bowl, Reed would play in all 4 games in the playoffs, having an interception and 3 passes deflected en route to his first and only Super Bowl victory. Reed would win DPOY in 2004 and be elected 5 first-team All-Pros and 3 more second-team All-Pros. Doing all he could was pretty much his main specialty, and recently retired, but already and went down as one of the all-time greats the second he retired. We have JJ Watt coming in here at number 3. Now, JJ Watt earned the nickname JJ SWAT, but just to really highlight how impactful he was, we just have to go over one singular year of his career to talk about why he was so great. I said Willis lived in the backfield, but no, Watt made his home there. He built it. Each week, teams would match up against Watt and plan on how to stop him. It didn't matter. This dude was unstoppable, having arguably the best season ever to not win MVP. That year, 2014. Not only did he have an alright 21 sacks, but he also had 4 forced fumbles and 5 fumble recoveries, an 80-yard pick six, another defensive touchdown, and I haven't even mentioned his 3 receiving touchdowns on offense that year. That's all in one season. He would have 15 or more sacks in a season, not once, not twice, not even 3 times, but 4 times. He won Defensive Player of the Year 3 times and finished second in MVP voting. He also got elected to 5 All-Pro first teams. JJ Watt was that guy, and nobody could tell me otherwise. One of the truly ruthless killers on and off the football field deserves his flowers here at number 2, and that's going to be Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis would just destroy anybody, and I mean anybody that got in his path. His 17-year career, he would make grown men cry for at least 14 of them, and he would have for the other 3 had it not been for injuries or other things keeping him out of the football games. When I talk about terrifying players to match up against, Ray Lewis is one of the very first heads that comes into my mind, and he's right up there alongside with number 1, who you guys can all probably guess, but either way, this is about Ray Lewis right now. The best part about him, he didn't care what you played, you could get some. His numbers don't pop out on paper, especially when you include how long he played, but sometimes an aura of a player is all you need. Oh, and yeah, not to mention, him and Ed Reed were on the same team at the same exact time. His nickname, funnily enough, is Sugar, but nobody wanted what he had. He recorded 2,060 tackles, 96 pass deflections. This stat, 96 pass deflections, it didn't even record for his first 3 years. 19 forced fumbles, 31 interceptions, and 100 tackles for loss. So as I said, they're not the flashiest stats, but he was an all-around beast. He won Defensive Player of the Year twice, was voted top 5 in MVP voting twice, and finished top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year voting another 5 times. Not to mention he was elected to 7 All-Pro first teams and another 3 All-Pro second teams. If you looked up and saw 52, it was already too late. Now, despite the fact that you guys all probably already know who number 1 is, before I continue with this video, I do want to say if you guys are liking this video or any of my content for that matter, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, hit that like button, and comment down below who you would want to see on this list or who is your personal list. It does really help out a lot to me. It pushes my video out there, and we are just 3 subscribers away from 600 at the time that I'm recording this. And 600 doesn't sound like a lot, but to me, it's a lot and it's my dream. So I appreciate y'all and have a fun rest of the video. And now coming in here at number 1, I mean, who else could it be? We have Lawrence Taylor, the original LT. Arguably the greatest defensive player of all time. And in my opinion, you could even make an argument for the greatest player of all time. LT is one of only 2 defensive players to ever win an MVP award. He's arguably the key reason why the New York Giants won 2 Super Bowls. A key thing to note, a lot of the stats in Lawrence Taylor's time were not being tracked, such as forced fumbles and other things like that. But pretty much everyone knows exactly how good LT was. In just his first year with the team, he would win not only Defensive Rookie of the Year, but also Defensive Player of the Year and was elected to a first-team All-Pro. He was so feared that it was publicly known that he did cocaine and crack, and everyone was too scared to do anything about it. He would clean himself up the year afterwards, and the season after cleaning himself up, he won MVP. He terrorized everyone, and I mean everyone, being the hardest hitter ever and not afraid to fly. Not only is he one of the best pass rushers ever, he was also above average in coverage. He was big, fast, and hit like a Ford F-150. What isn't there to fear? He won Defensive Player of the Year 3 times, MVP in 1986, and was elected to 8 first-team All-Pros and another 2 second-team All-Pros. Thank you all for watching, and have a happy Halloween.